Hello, students. Hello, boys and girls. Hi, kids. Have you ever had anybody say that to you? Have you ever had a teacher address you as, "Hi, kids"? Well, it's a very common expression in America, where I come from. We say, "Hi, kids," which is the same as "Hello, students." Hello, boys and girls. Okay, hello, sons and daughters. Okay, today we're going to talk about natural disasters, okay? Natural disasters. Okay. Basically, we're talking about natural disasters. So first off, my board isn't very good there, is it? Well, you probably can't see that board very well. Well, two words: natural and disasters. Now, disasters with a S on the end tells you what? More than one. Plural. Okay. Singular is disaster. One disaster. Plural, more than one, two, three, four, five. Disasters. Okay. So we are talking about more than one natural disaster. Okay. So, disaster. Disaster. What does that word mean? Disaster means something bad, something very bad. A bomb exploded in New York City during the Boston Marathon. No, in Boston during the Boston Marathon, and several people were killed. Is that a disaster? Yes, it's very bad. It's a disaster. Okay. So let's look at natural. Okay, natural. Okay, so disaster is anything bad. The bomb went off and many people died. A disaster. Okay. The army came in and there was a lot of shooting and people were killed. It was a disaster. Okay. A disaster simply means bad, 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 bad. People die, people get hurt. A disaster. Okay. Now, natural disaster. Natural means nature. Natural. Nature. What is nature? Well, nature is, I gotta move that. Nature is everything around us. The air that we breathe, the water that we drink or that comes down as rain, or that flows in our rivers and in our seas, the fish that live in these waters, the birds that fly in the air, the animals that live on the land, you and me, who live on the land mostly, sometimes in the water a little bit, we are all parts of nature. Nature, the trees, the plants, the birds, the animals, the fish, the sun, okay, nature. Natural means part of nature, okay? So natural disasters mean bad things that happen from nature, from the earth, from our world, our life, our everything. So what are natural disasters exactly? Well, where I come from, where Teacher Robert comes from, we have natural disasters every year, almost every season. In America, we have 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall, or autumn. Autumn, fall, the same thing. Fall, autumn. Okay? Now in Thailand, you actually have about 3 seasons. You have winter, like now, where it's very cold, and summer, where it's very hot, and monsoon, or rainy season. And that's really the only 3 seasons you have in Thailand. Now, as far as natural disasters in Thailand, can you think of one? You may not be able to think of one because you are very young, okay? But in, I believe it was 2011, which would have been 10 years ago, you had a big flood in Thailand, right? You remember that? Probably not. You were probably a baby, okay? But I remember it in USA. I read about it, watched it on the news. The Chayaprapa River overflowed due to heavy rainfall, and you had a lot of water in Bangkok. I could show you on around my house here. This is my house in Bangkok, and the water was like up to here. Okay, all these people around here had to leave their homes because the water was too deep. Some of them who lived in 2-story buildings, 2-story homes up above, stayed in their homes and traveled by boat. Others, like whoever lived here before I did, with the water up to here, had to leave and go somewhere else and get to higher up above the water. Okay? So that is a natural disaster. The rain came, the water came, and it was a disaster. It was very bad. Okay? It came from nature, it came from rain, not man-made. Okay? Like a bomb, like the bomb I talked about, that is not a natural disaster. It is a disaster, but not a natural disaster. It was a man-made disaster. Natural disasters come from nature. Okay? So the flood in, I believe it was 2011, was a nature-made disaster, a natural disaster. Okay. Now, later on, and I'm not sure what year this was, but I think it was about 2012, maybe right after that, the tsunami. Do you remember the tsunami? Tsunami is when there is an earthquake underwater and the earth splits like this, and that creates a huge wave in the ocean. And many people died in Thailand from that tsunami, which came from Japan. Actually, it was closer to Japan, but the earth shifted and the water made a huge wave and cleared out buildings, people. Very powerful. Nature is very powerful. And so it was obviously a natural disaster, the tsunami. Okay. Now, back to what I was saying about where I come from. The weather is very bad, and we have a lot of natural disasters. Sometimes we have floods, like you did back in 2011, where there is a lot of water that goes everywhere. Sometimes water can lift up cars and push them down the street. It can level homes. Very powerful. Nature is very powerful. And disasters means bad. So powerful, bad. Okay. So how do we deal with these disasters? With our modern technology and what we have available to us today, what do we do to prepare for these emergencies? Well, from the time I was a little boy, where I come from, we have natural disasters called tornadoes. Here in Thailand, you have high winds. I have seen it. I have seen where the winds will blow down signs, big signs, blow down signs. And I don't think you have too many earthquakes here. Earthquakes are when the earth moves, there's a rumble and the earth cracks, okay? Japan has a lot of earthquakes. We even have earthquakes where I come from in America. We have a lot in California, and we have even had some where I come from, South Dakota, USA. So continuing on, as I was saying, when I was very young, tornadoes are very common where I come from. What is a tornado? Well, a tornado is when hot air and cold air mix together and they make a swirling, very powerful wind, 200 kilometers per hour wind that circles, okay? It blows so strong that it can pick up houses and cars and people in the air, and then it throws them out to slam up against something not good. Disaster. Tornadoes are very horrible. So, in preparation to prepare for a tornado, the television, my mom and dad, everybody said, get down low. Go in the basement. Okay? In Thailand, you do not have a lot of basements. Basement means below ground. Okay? My house here does not have a basement. We are right here, that's it. The basement is probably water. Okay? We don't have basements here in Thailand too much. But you do have them. If you go to Central Plaza, you go in on the ground floor, the first floor, and you can go down into the basement. Okay. So, in preparation for tornadoes, we were told to get down low, because the winds that come will pick up everything off of the ground and put it in the air and throw it somewhere. But if you are in down low, it won't pick you up. Okay. Now here is another natural disaster: lightning, boom, boom from the sky, rain, storm, thunderstorm. You get lightning, and lightning is very powerful and can hurt you very bad. It can kill you. Lightning is another thing that lightning will strike things that are high up, buildings, trees. So when you have a thunderstorm, you stay away from tall trees, tall buildings, because lightning will strike there. And some things we do not understand even to this day is that if you are struck by lightning, a person like you or me is struck by lightning, you will probably be struck again. Yes, it is documented. There are people alive who have been struck by lightning 5 times or more. Yes. My grandfather, this is a personal experience, my grandfather stood on a hill where my family first came to America from Ireland, and they bought a farm on a hill. That farm was struck by lightning many times because it was high up. My grandfather, one particular evening, was standing outside by a machine called a cream separator. It separates the milk from the cream, from cows. My ancestors raised cows and made milk. And lightning hit that metal cream separator, and the dog and cat by my grandfather fell over dead. And my grandfather never felt a thing. So lightning can be very mysterious. Another natural disaster, lightning. We talked about tornadoes and lightning. Hurricanes. What are hurricanes? Well, hurricanes are like a big tornado where the winds get to swirling around like that at sea. Okay? So you have a huge tornado, winds very strong, disaster. Okay? Typhoon. Typhoon is actually a tornado on the water. A tornado goes round and round and picks things up like houses, people, cars. A typhoon is the same thing, but it is on the sea, so it picks up water. So there is this huge funnel of water. You can imagine what might happen to you if you got sucked up into that. Okay, hurricane is similar, but it's more widespread. It's larger. Okay, and tsunami, like we talked about earlier, is very bad. Tsunamis are horrible. Hurricanes usually okay, not too bad. Tornadoes, like where I come from, can be very bad. Okay. All right. Now, in preparation for these natural disasters, you are going to want to be able to tell people, be careful, go in your house, go down low, stay away from tall objects for lightning, go down low for tornadoes, for floods, go up high, get away from the water, okay? So you have to be able to tell people how to take care of themselves. Now, there are so many things that can happen in nature. One of the things I see on my sheet here is avalanche. Avalanche. A-V-A-L-A-N-C-H-E. Avalanche. What is an avalanche? Well, an avalanche is where something happens, maybe an explosion, maybe a minor earthquake, maybe nothing, maybe just the weight pushes everything down the hill, down the mountain. When you think of avalanche, you think of snow, a lot of snow that comes rolling down the mountain. Rolling down the hill. And if you're down here and the snow comes rolling down, you might get buried with snow, okay? But avalanche is not only snow. Where I come from, we have many steep mountains made of rock. No trees, no plants, just rock. And sometimes there is a rock avalanche. The rocks break and fall down the hill. Sometimes onto the road, onto cars, onto people. Okay, a rock avalanche. So avalanche can be snow or it can be rock, earth, matter. So, preparation. What is preparation? Well, preparation is to prepare, to protect yourself from these natural disasters, okay? In the case of an avalanche, you cannot prepare. No one knows when it is coming. The same way with a tsunami, okay? With other disasters, however, like a thunderstorm, a hurricane, a snowstorm. Where I come from, there are many snowstorms. Okay, you can prepare. You can protect yourself from these bad things. Where I come from, it's very, very cold, and the snow is very common, and with the wind, the snow can pile up very high. I remember when I was young where the snow was way up above my head, okay? And when you're driving a car, it's slippery. It's hard to drive, okay? And you may get stuck where you cannot drive anymore. You're stuck. You are right there in all this snow. What do? Do you get out and start walking? Maybe, if you know where you are. With the modern technology that you kids have today, you could do that probably. In my day, we were all told to keep plenty of blankets in your car, blankets, okay, warm, and put one candle in your car. That one candle can keep you warm enough that you won't die, okay, and blankets, a lot of blankets. And there was actually a disaster, a natural disaster, back when I was younger, where a young woman got stuck in her car, and she had blankets and a candle, and she stayed warm. And her car, I don't remember the car, I think it was a Toyota, smaller one, and the snow completely covered her car. You could not see her car, just snow everywhere. But the good people, the firemen, the police, whoever, found that woman in the snow from her cell phone. She had her cell phone turned on, and they were able to track her and say, oh, she's in there, and here's this big pile of snow, and they dug in and rescued the young woman. So with today's technology, you are forewarned. You have a little warning before the disaster happens or doesn't happen. Okay, so you have time to prepare, preparation for the disaster, preparation for the bad that may be coming, and you have the opportunity to tell your neighbors, your friends, your family, your loved ones, how to protect themselves from this coming emergency. Okay, all right, we're running out of light here. Okay, basically what today's lesson is about is nature and things that sometimes go wrong in nature, things that can happen that are not good, and things you can do to protect yourself, to give you a better chance of coming through this disaster with healthy, wealthy, and wise, okay? Because nature is very powerful, it can hurt you, and you need to take precautions for that. Now, when you are speaking with someone about disasters like this, how will you go about it? What will you say? Well, you will say, Peter, did you hear? There is a terrible hurricane coming. We must prepare. We must do things to protect ourselves from this horrible weather that is coming. what will we do? Well, let's close all the windows. Let's get some blankets. Let's get some candles, okay? Because maybe the electricity will go out. We will not have light, so we need candles. Maybe it will get very cold, so we want blankets. Okay, prepare for this natural disaster that is coming. So we can use language to help our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones to take care, to prevent injury to you and others by protecting yourself. Okay, we talked about earthquakes, we talked about tsunamis, we talked about hurricanes, we talked about tornadoes, we talked about lightning. Are there any others? Are there any other natural disasters that you can think of? Well, yes, there is. Have you ever heard volcano? Yeah, volcano is a mountain with a hole in the middle. The center of our earth, when I was young, like you kids are, my teachers told me that the earth is still cooling down. The earth used to be a lot of molten lava, liquid rock and metal, so hot in the middle of the earth, and they said that the earth was cooling down. Well, today they say that the earth is getting warmer. Things change. When I was young, we had 9 planets. Today you have 8 planets. Pluto is no longer a planet, you know. So things change, but some things stay the same. Volcano. A volcano is a mountain with a hole going all the way down to the center of the earth, where we have all this molten lava. Very hot, rock, metal, red hot liquid. Okay? When the pressure gets so high, this molten lava sometimes shoots out through the mountain, and there's a big explosion and fire and metal and red hot things go everywhere. And this is a volcano, and we had one such natural disaster in the state of Washington, USA, in around 2015, I don't know, it wasn't that long ago, but many people were killed by this volcano, by the molten lava coming down into their homes. It was very horrible. It was a natural disaster, a volcano. Okay. Now, there are other natural disasters that we have not talked about as yet. There is a thing called wind shear, where the winds in the